Good morning, student. Welcome to social science class. Today we are going to discuss about first chapter of history, that is the French Revolution. Let us know first where this country France situated. We all know that there are 7 continents in the world. So what are the name of that continents? First one, Asia. This is our country India. It lies in Asia. Second one, Africa. Okay. Third, Europe, North America, South America, Antarctica, Australia. So these are the 7 continents. So we are going to discuss about French Revolution. So the country France situated in Europe. This pink colored France. Okay. Okay, let us begin this chapter, the French Revolution, with a story. On the morning of 14th July 1789, morning of 14th July 1789, what happened? The city of Paris was in a state of high alarm. Okay. Rumors spread that the king would soon order open fire to the citizen. Okay, so near about 7,000 men and women they gathered in front of the town hall and decided to form people's militia. Finally, a group of people marched towards the prison Bastille. In the armed fight, the commander of the Bastille was killed and prisoners released. Actually, this prison Bastille stood the despotic power. This prison Bastille stood the despotic power of the king. So, what is the meaning of despotic power? The despotic power means the supremacy of king. So the agitated mass demolished the symbol of despotism, that is prison Bastille, with great enthusiasm. Now let us discuss what is the cause behind this incident. What is the cause behind this incident? Why the people of France was very much unhappy? Why they are very much angry with their king's policy? Now we will discuss about the causes of this incident. Now please student, please turn on the next page. Next page written French society during the 18th century. French society during the late 18th century. So 18th century means what? 18th century started from 1701 to 1800. Okay, so late 18th century we started this chapter with the date 14th of July 1789, and 1789 is very close to 1800. That's why written late 18th century. Okay. So, in 1774, Louis XVI of Bourbon dynasty became the king of France. Louis XVI, 1774 of Bourbon dynasty became the king of France. The new king found an empty treasury. The new king found an empty treasury. Why? Because long year of war had drained the financial resources of France. Second, cost of maintaining an extravagant court. Besides, under Louis XVI, France helped American colonies to gain their independence from the common enemy Britain. Okay, so this was one cause of French Revolution, that people of France, they were not very happy with king's policy. What king was doing, people of France, they were not very happy. Second thing, now look at this image very carefully. Let me draw this image in this manner. That time in France, society was divided into three estates. Society was divided into three estates. First estate, second estate, and third estate, and king. King was the leader. So in the society, this type of three groups were there: first estate, second estate, and third estate. So who were the first estate people? The first estate people were known as clergy people. So clergy people means what? Written here, group of persons invested with special functions in the church. These people were known as clergy people. So clergy people, that is first estate people. Second estate people were known as nobility. And third estate people. Who were the people of third estate? Big businessmen, merchants, court officials, lawyers, peasants, that is farmer, and artisans, small peasants including landless labor servants. So that is common people. Okay, third estate people. Among these three estate people, one interesting thing was that only third estate people, they paid tax to the king. Only third estate people, including that poor peasants, landless labor, they paid tax to the king. But these two estate people, first estate that is clergy and second estate that was nobility, they didn't pay tax. Only third estate people, they paid tax to the king. So this type of discrimination was there in that time in France. So the people belonging to third estate, they were not very happy with king's this type of policy. Okay, so this was another cause of French Revolution. And small number of them, that is small number of small peasants, they owned land, they cultivated. Small number, about 60% was land owned by the nobles. 60% of land was owned by the nobles, the church, and other member of the society. These first two estates enjoyed certain privileges by birth, as I discussed, certain privileges by birth. Okay, so all the members of third estate people, they paid tax. Mainly they paid two types of taxes. One tax known as tithe and another tax was known as tail. Tithe, common people, that is third estate people, a tax levied by the church comprising 1/10 of the agricultural produce. That means common people, these third estate people, they had to pay 1/10 of their agricultural product to the church. This tax was known as tithe. Clear? Next tax, another tax was that tile. Okay? This tail tax, common people, that is third estate people, they paid directly to king. This tax was known as tail. Common people, third estate people paid directly tax to king. This tax was known as tail. Common people, they paid another tax to the clergy, that is church. This tax was known as tithe. So mainly these two types of tax were paid by the third estate people. One tax was paid directly to the king, that the name of that tax was tail, and another tax was paid by the third estate people to the clergy people, to the church. The name of that tax was tithe. Okay. So again you can notice that discrimination was there. Previously we discussed that society was divided among three groups, and now we discussed that among these three groups only third estate people, they paid tax, two types of tax, tail and tithe, okay, to the king. So the common people of France, they were not happy with this type of discrimination prevailed in that time in France. Next causes of French Revolution was that the struggle to survive. Next cause we are going to discuss as economic causes of French Revolution. That is, that time in France, population was rapidly increasing from 23rd million to 28 million. That time in France, population was rapidly increasing. That time in France, this is population. Population was rapidly on a high rate, but food production was, this is food production, food production was not sufficient for the population. So as population increases, increase the demand of food, but the production of food grain was not sufficient. Food grain could not keep pace with the demand. So the result of this was increase of food price. Only few food was there for large number of people. So the price of food increases. Price of food increases. So in the society, gap between poor people and rich people again increases, because rich people, they have money, they can easily buy food, but poor people, population rich, poor, only this amount of food was available, but population was not, too little. Okay, and in population, rich and poor people, they don't have enough money to buy high priced food, but rich people, they had money, they can easily buy food. So again in this society, discrimination arises. A large gap between rich and poor widened. So the common people of France, again, they were not happy with this type of discrimination. Okay, and among these poor people, most workers employed as labor of workshop, their wages their wages were fixed, but wages did not keep pace with the rise in prices. So the gap between the poor and the rich widened in in the French society. So this was another cause of French Revolution, why the people of France, they were not very happy. Next cause of French Revolution. Now look at this point. A growing middle class envisages an end to privileges. Who were the middle class people? Actually, the 18th century witnessed the emergence of social group. The name of that social group was middle class people. Okay, middle class. The name of that social group was middle class. who earned their wages through an expanding overseas trade and from the manufacture of goods such as woolen and silk textiles, and were either exported or brought by the richer members of society. In addition to merchants and manufacturers, the third estate included professions such as lawyers or administrative officials. All of these were educated and believed that no gap in society. Educated people, they didn't believe that in the society gap will be there. Okay, and they didn't believe that privileges by birth any person will get. Rather, a person's social position must depend on his merit. These ideas envisaging a society based on freedom and equal laws and opportunities for all were put forwarded by philosophers such as John Locke, Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Okay? So these philosophers had written a number of books like Two Treatises of Government by John Locke. Next page, The Spirit of Laws by Montesquieu. Okay, so these philosophers, John Locke, Montesquieu, Rousseau, these philosophers believed that in society no discrimination will be there. They believed that in society this type of discrimination, again this type of rich poor, this discrimination will be there. Okay, so what we have learned from today's class? We have learned from today's class about the incident that sparked the French Revolution. This incident sparked the French Revolution. Next, we have learned that during the year 1774, Louis XVI of Bourbon dynasty became the king of France. Next, we have learned that what was the causes of French Revolution. We discussed discrimination prevail in society. We discussed about different taxes paid by only third estate people. Again, this type of discrimination we discussed. We discussed about economic cause, that how population was increasing that time in France, but food production was not sufficient for that people. We discussed about middle class people that emerged in the 18th century. Okay, we discussed about different philosophers role. We discussed about books written by that philosophers like Two Treatises of Government by John Locke, The Spirit of Laws by Montesquieu. Okay, okay students, we will cover the next part in another video. Thanks for watching.